Welcome to a Land Rover guide to the Land Cruiser. The engine bay has some really obvious differences. First of all, it's massive. This thing is huge. I mean, pretty much because on a Land Rover you've got big wings that impose into the engine bay, whereas on a Toyota it goes mostly to the edge of the vehicle, so you've got a lot more space in the engine bay. Second reason is that engine is massive. Look at the size of that. So probably on a Defender, this is the bulkhead, probably ends about here. So you've got a good extra half to 3/4 of a foot of vehicle. In terms of working on the vehicle, that makes it a lot easier to get access to everything around the vehicle. There's a lot more space to fit everything in. The only downside is that when you're in the cab, it makes you feel like you're driving a lorry because this is just so massive, and it's got the bull bar on the front. So I think +1 to Toyota for the space, -1 for the actual size, unfortunately. The main benefit though of not having the wings is you can get to the edge of the engine bay really easily. On a Land Rover it probably starts about here, and it's really hard actually to bend over the side, because you're bending the back of your hamstrings to get over there. You've got to pretty much stand on your toolbox or something else just to be able to get over something. Whereas here we've got a lot better access to get to the edge and work along the edge of the engine bay. I'm going to go around each of the components and just talk about my experiences of what I've found working on this engine. Starting at this corner then, windscreen washer bottle, easy to access, but it's not hard on the Land Rover either. The headlight is right there. That is amazing. Compared to a Land Rover, you've got to put your hands in under the vehicle to get access, and you usually end up twisting your wrists in all sorts of directions. This, I can just pull the thing off really easily, really good access, so that's a win for Toyota. Along here we've got the air filter. Now, this thing is massive. I don't know if it needs to be so massive, but we've got good access to the air filter, just the same as you do on a Land Rover 300 TDI. The air filter's here. I don't know, I assume they've got probably similar surface area of the air filter. It's just that Land Rover have gone for a longer, smaller diameter filter, whereas Toyota have gone for a stubbier, shorter, dumpier kind of air filter with a wider diameter in here. In terms of characteristics, I don't know what difference they would have, but if it's built to a certain airflow rating, then it should be fine. Getting access to the air filter, it's got these 3 clips, one here, one here, one here, and then the nut on the top. This should probably be a wing nut, but this one's got a bolt, but if it's a wing nut, it will generally be as easy to get access to the air filter as it is on a 300 TDI, which is just one wing nut. Because they've got the air filter here, and then there's a lot less associated pipework for the air to get to the engine. They've got the snorkel comes down straight into the air filter box. That then goes off this short piece of hose into this, I think it's called a crossover pipe or something, into the inlet manifold. So the air routing is a lot better on the Toyota here. There's a lot less pipework to get it into the engine. It's a lot less complicated. The other benefit of this is it's a brilliant flat place to just put stuff. It holds stuff really well. You can put screwdrivers and spanners in here, you can rest them up on here, and they just sit there because of this lip, so that's a really nice feature. One additional item they've got is this, which is a pressure sensor for basically the outside of the filter and the inside of the filter. So this is connected up to the dashboard. This one's broken, but it's connected up to the dashboard to show you when the air filter's clogged. There'll be a pressure difference between the outside and the inside, so they can actually show you in the cab when the air filter's been blocked. I don't think it's a totally necessary thing because it's so easy to get access to the air filter. You generally can just take a look at it and see its condition, but it's a nice feature to have nevertheless. Fuel filters, same again, really easy to get access to. They're just here. Now this is a pre-filter, not fitted to all models, and then this is the fuel filter. The fuel filter on a 300 TDI is not that difficult to get to. It's just a bit awkward to get your hand down and twist it, but they're both just as easily accessible. So they're both, on common ground with that respect. The pipes though are a lot easier on a Toyota because they've just got these clips, and you can, some of them undo with your hand or use a set of pliers on there. It's really quite easy. So that's a win for Toyota. It's a lot easier to take these things on and off. You would generally take this unit out, take the filter off, put it back in. This fuel filter is also good because it's got its own priming pump on the top. The Land Rover, you've got to crack a nut, 10mm bolt, and then work the lift pump. But the lift pump's got to be in the right position, or rather, the crankshaft has got to be in the right position, so that the lift pump actually works on the cam, and then you work that as you watch this for diesel to come out, and then you tighten the nut up. It's a bit of a faff. It doesn't necessarily always have to happen, but it could prime itself. But really, this is just ideal. It takes a long time to fill these two up after you've replaced them, but this is really handy, actually. Really handy. So I think a win for the Toyota. Just makes it really easy to change the fuel filters. Another thing to mention is these bolts are pretty meaty. These are, I think they're M8 with 12mm heads, and you see these bolts everywhere in the engine bay. They're here, they're here, they're here, over here, they're on here, they're just everywhere. What Toyota have done is basically beefed up all the bolts to be a really decent meaty size. It means they're strong enough and you can get a spanner on them really easy and tighten them down properly. But they've made them all the same, which is the kind of the main point. They've made them all the same so they can get economies of scale in buying the same bolts, and then just use it everywhere. And it means you can just go around the engine with one socket or spanner and do everything with one size. It makes it really easy. Land Rover's got a lot of little fiddly 6mm, 7mm, 8mm kind of nut sizes, like on the viscous the fan cowling. Got to get on there and holding on the washer bottle and things like that. It's a lot more fiddly, whereas here they just give you big fat bolt. You just get one spanner on it and it works. So Toyota have done well in that respect. Looking at the brake reservoir, got a typical fluid reservoir there, and they've got their sensor on the side, so when it will drop below the level, as opposed to the float sensor that's in the cap of the Land Rover. I don't think there's any win there. There's no particular benefit from one or the other. What I don't like here is that this is just a rubber cap that just sits on the top. I think Land Rover have done better there because they've got a screw cap. It feels a lot more secure. I'm not too sure about this. Master cylinder has got two exit pipes, presumably front and rear circuits. The Defender's got three, one for each side of the front and one for the back. So I think the Defender wins in terms of redundancy or fail-safe on the brake front, but this is a lot more accessible. I can lean over this quite easily. I'm not that far from the edge. I can really get to these unions very easily. The Land Rover got two on the side and then one underneath that's a little bit fiddly, whereas these are all really accessible. So it's a win for Toyota there. For the vacuum servo, here, it's just a servo, don't have much comment on that, but the hosing, the vacuum feed, is this hose here, which then goes down, comes out along here, along this pipe here, which goes under, it comes along in here, it then goes back round the back of the engine, and down there, and that is the vacuum pump down there, at the bottom there. It seems like they've just put it on the wrong side of the engine. So on the Land Rover, on the 300 TDI, it just comes from here up to the vacuum hose. So that's a win for Land Rover because it's a lot easier routing. There's only one pipe, essentially, a lot less problems to go wrong. Here it's very fiddly to route it all the way around the engine, so you've got more potential for problems there. Clutch cylinder, similar sort of stuff, really easy access to get to the union. The reservoir seems a bit insecure, I'm not too sure about that, and same, they've got the cap here, which I prefer a screw cap. However, it is a lot easier to get access to. On a right-hand drive Defender it's not too bad, but on a left-hand drive Defender you've got it right down in the wing here. It's really difficult to get a bottle in there with the bonnet to fill it up, but generally access is about the same. This section here, whoever made this is a genius, because that is the perfect space for basically anything, a screwdriver, spanner, anything. It just holds it perfectly. It's like the ultimate. Whereas this is great for tools. That is probably my first choice of putting something down there. It just holds it. You know it's not going to go anywhere. Easily accessible from both sides. I love it. Exhaust manifold, really easy to get off. Same with the manifold bolts, they're just in there. You take the cover off, they'll be easy to get off. This rocker cover is huge, and these bolts are really good actually, because that 300 TDI has only got 3 bolts to hold it down. This has got tons. So this vehicle has got 320,000 kilometers on it. That's 200,000 miles, and there is not a leak. This thing is clean, dry, no leaks anywhere. It's very common to leak on the rocker cover of a 300 TDI as it gets older. This one, just bone dry, so that's a win for Toyota there. Click here to go to the next video. Right here. That's where the button is, right there.